Okay, cool. So I think we're all good to go. We have gone now onto live as well. So welcome to everybody on Facebook. Karen, my beautiful friend.
That's my friend.
Yeah, I'll listen through as long as I have the internet. I'm driving through the Pilbara right now. Isn't this fantastic?
So beautiful.
It's so cool that you can actually have people from anywhere and be able to kind of tune into this.
And have friends anywhere in this. We were just talking before this, Michael. I've never actually met Karen. She's a beautiful, beautiful dear friend of mine that I met through this community, and that was not at a live event. So that's cool. Oh, there's way too much of me on this side here. Oh, there we go. I like to be smaller. Okay.
You like to be smaller? Okay, how's that? Is that a bit better?
I can see Christine laughing at me there. Hey, gorgeous. Well, I don't know so many of these people.
This is all the family. This is the ILRE Real Estate family, and it's great to have everyone on board. We've got a very special person on today. I've known Sue for many years, and we're going to have a great chat, and we're really going to hope to share a lot about what she's been doing and give you a little bit of an insight into what she's been doing, and also a little bit of inspiration into how she kind of has got through some different things as well. So it's going to be a great one. It's going to be a great one, and of course we've got a lot of your friends on here as well, Sue. So now the person today that we're going to be having a chat with is Sue Jordan. Sue, how are you going?
I'm good. Look at the colour of my new kitchen. Woo!
So you're on site at the moment. You're on site. Yep. So if we hear a bit of banging in the background and so forth, it's like it's happening at the moment.
He's under strict instructions: no sanding, no drilling, no hammering. What else isn't he allowed to do? Probably not get that nail gun out. That's probably definitely a no. He's going to tile a splashback.
Okay, excellent. Good to hear. So look, what I think we should do is just let's get into having a little bit of an insight for those people, especially many. I know that many of the community already know you quite well. You were up on stage, I think it was 2018, wasn't it? Sharing your story.
Melbourne.
Yep. But for those of you who don't know, let's just have a bit of an insight where were you coming from. So when did you originally join up with the ILRE Real Estate community?
2014-15, I think it was. I think we joined later in 14 because our first deal was in 15. So it took about 6 months to get market ready, get all the little ducks standing up in a row, because those little buggers can get away from you. So yes, about 6 months of getting market ready.
Okay.
A little bit of cost securitization, a little bit of a messiness there, but yeah. First it was 2015.
Okay. And what were you kind of like? What was the decision-making process for you to join? Like, were you trying to solve something or do something? What was it? Where were you at? You know what I mean? And
we were Marcus, a builder, as everyone probably knows, carpenter by trade and a builder. And I was actually walked past his office, and I guess we were doing real estate. We're doing a bit of flipping and a few things, but not doing it particularly brilliantly. Like, we were making money and we're doing okay, but we weren't making real money sort of thing. And I literally walked past Mark's office, and Dymphna's ad came up on Facebook, and I hadn't seen it on my page. It said, "I love real estate." And I said, "Oh, I love real estate. Click on that. I'll go to that." And that was on the Goldie. Because I loved real estate and I loved it, and I was really interested in it and always been interested in it, but needed to know how to do it better. And so I went down on my favorite gym day and thought, you're all going to sell me a set of steak knives, which I'm still waiting on.
You know what? We can give you steak knives if you want.
I just needed some steak knives. I'm thinking, if I sign up for all this, am I going to get a free set of steak knives as well? So that was my first experience, and that's where I met you on the Goldie. Indeed. Okay, awesome. So what were the things that first happened when you first joined? I mean, what did you first do? Did you get along to the boot camp? Did you get into the training? How did that kind of initial... I went home very, very sad, actually. You missed a step, Michael. I went home very, very sad that I couldn't join because Mark wasn't with me. And if I spent all that money, which to me was a lot back then, now I just laugh about that. If I spent all that money, he'd kill me. So luckily there was a rainy day. You told me to keep in contact, keep my eye out for the next one day. And we went to the one in Brisbane. It was a Thursday night. It had been raining. So Mark had the day off and we joined up there. because we just knew we could do that with the right education. There was nothing there that wasn't beyond what we could do. So Mark was like, we will find the money, we will sign up, and we will do this. And we did. Never looked back. Never looked back. Best thing we ever did.
Awesome. So money was pretty tight at that time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like, you know, I don't know if I'm supposed to say how much things were back then or anything, because it was like a few years ago. But back then, you know, there was a lot of money for us. It was, you know, with things, and we both worked for ourselves and stuff. And yeah, but Mark was adamant. He's like, no, that's what we need. We're signing up. And I look back at that. And I think Dymphna says, if you don't make, that's one thing I did do though, Michael, I haven't told you. Dymphna had that guarantee that if you get off your comfy couch and you do this and you keep a diary and you do what I say to do, and you don't make 10 times your investment back, you will get your money back. I went out, I bought a green diary for money, obviously, and I wrote down every single thing I did every single day. Because that was another thing I was going to prove Dymphna wrong on, was first the book and this. I'm getting my money back if this doesn't work. And I think I kept that diary for, I don't know, 3 weeks. And I threw it out and I went, yeah, this lady knows what she's on about. This is good. I'm good. But I was doing it. I said, I'm getting off my company. And I listened to the tapes or the CDs in my car. I was obsessed with it when I first started. And I know she always says, if you get sick of my voice, you know, whatever. And I said, no, I don't get sick of her voice ever. I love it. Because I listened to her. And even doing our first deal, we would still continue to listen to those CDs, because I remember Jason and Amy talked about it. They used to do the 6-hour commutes, and we had a 2-hour commute to our first deal. And I would listen to those CDs in the car over and over again. You always pick something up. So that's sort of where we started with it.
Good to hear. That's really cool. That's really cool. And only 3 weeks for you to write into that diary, hey?
Oh yeah, once I was into the diary, and I guess then we'd started to look at the banks and financials and, you know, getting really into it. I guess it was about 3 weeks. It wasn't longer than say 5.
Yeah. And what happened then? What happened then after those 3 weeks? What did you first get into?
Again, getting market ready, sort of and then finding out how much we could spend, and looking at areas. We did a boot camp first before our first deal. I think our first boot camp came along within the first, might have been the October or something like that, I guess. So having that first boot camp, I always recommend to a lot of people to do at least 2 boot camps even before you start to worry about what strategy is going to suit you. At least do one, because look, when you go to your first boot camp, you're like a kid in a candy shop. You just want all of them. I want to do that. I want to do that. And you see people, they come into overwhelm because they want to do a subdivision and a townhouse build, and they want to build this and that, and it's too much. You can't do all that, particularly until you know your strengths, until you've spoken to your strategist as well. Talk to your strategist, because you may not have the money or the serviceability or the skills to go and do a 10-lot subdivision or a 10-house. Start to crawl before you start running the marathons. So I guess the first boot camp, we went away and we went, okay, can do this, could that, we've got these sorts of options. And then we narrowed down the options. And then we went to our next boot camp, which is where we went, you hear everything, because once you've narrowed down your strategies that we were going to look at, you could hear it. And anything I didn't want to hear, because that wasn't relevant to me, was just what. Whereas at the first boot camp, you really go into overwhelm. There's so much to learn. So I guess after the second boot camp, we went, yep, this is what we need and this is what we're doing. And that's what we did.
Yeah, awesome. It's interesting because Dymphna actually says, she said you should watch the recordings first and then attend a boot camp.
And we had done that. We had done that. I made Mark come home. Yes, definitely. We did do that. I didn't want to go to boot camp completely. So basically, by the time we did our first deal, we'd done boot camp 3 times. Yeah, Mark was so tired, and I made him come home and sit on the couch and watch 2 hours of boot camp every night before we went to boot camp. He thanks me for it.
Now.
Probably not. I'm only saying that because he can hear me.
What happened at the boot camp? Because obviously you're getting yourself market ready, but at the same time, you're kind of like working out what your strengths were.
Yeah, I guess, well, we already knew renovation was going to be a strength because that's what Mark does. It was more learning to stack strategies, something that we hadn't done before. So we had to learn to stack strategies. And of course, you can't miss Kevin Dutney if you go to a boot camp. Yeah, you meet Kevin. Identifying areas, because again, people get too confused with areas and they overcomplicate things, and they're here and they're there and they're there and there. You know, you've got your 3 strategies, your 3 areas, which is 21 options sort of thing. Kevin just flat out said to us, buy where you want a holiday, Sue. And that's all he said. And he moved on, as Kevin does. And I went, huh, that's an idea. Why would we want a holiday? And there was a particular place that we went to holiday all the time. And that's where we started. Wow. Then my computer broke and I pushed the wrong things on my iPad. And this one property just went, bring. But I also very much like, you know, Dymphna says, you spend that hour, write down what you want, set your intention and find it. And that's exactly what I did to find my first deal.
Yeah. Now, so you've just mentioned something really interesting, and I want to kind of see if you can elaborate a little bit. You use the term "set your intention," and I think that this has come about because you originally getting into the mindset side of things. Do you want to just explain that concept, what it means to you?
To me, it's you've got to be like laser focused on that. Like, what is my intention? What is my outcome? Be focused on that. What do I want to achieve today? I had a focus on a particular area that I wanted to buy. I wanted to buy a big house that I could cut up into multiple incomes. That was my strategy. Firstly, because of this area, it was never going to rent positive with one income. So we had to find something big enough. So I sat down and my computer had died. I buy the best deals when I am cranky. And why that works is because I'm laser focused. I am going to get this because I'm just, I was so mad that day because my computer had died and it had been sent off, and I'm very not good with those things. And I got my iPad, which I still have to this day sitting next to me, and I went on the cash and went, I am going to find a big house in this area. And the next thing, only one came up because I pressed the wrong number of bathrooms to bedrooms, because I was on the iPad, not on the computer, and only one property came up. And you couldn't see the property. It was covered in trees and there was no internal photos, which to us is just a dream. No internal photos, because you know there's something really wrong with it. And the open house was the next day. And I said to Mark, we're going to an open house tomorrow. He said, oh, the bloody drive, I'm fucking tired, blah, blah, blah. Dragged him off. Chili came with us. She was only a baby then. And we bought it.
And
just
that was
laser focused. That's it. Just this is my intention and this is what I want. Not kind of want this and sort of want that, and oh, maybe if it's got this and No. In this suburb right now, this size house, this price point, I am going to find it. And I did. And that's how I found this place too. I was in a bad mood when I bought this place.
Yeah. I'm really impressed that you can so much positivity can come out of, you know, some aggression.
It's intention setting. Right. I'm going to fight. And it went bling. And I went, ooh, look at that. That's what I want.
Now, just in reference to what you're saying about the, you know, the setting your intention and the mindset, is that a lot of what's come out of the Real Estate Millionaire Within when you went along to that event?
Love it. My favorite event. That's the reason we upgraded to Quantum, actually, back in the day when we didn't get that in Ultimate, was for Millionaire Within. Absolutely, 100%. 80% of the journey is the mind, the 20% is the mechanics. And we had the mechanics. We just had to get the mind right. 100%. Awesome. 100%. And like, I know that with some of the coaching and trainings that I do overseas. I did one this week and I thought, God, if I have one more negative question, like even just the way they were going about things, I'm like, what, why, where does that even come from? just, yeah. Some people really need to focus, and as you know, complexity is the enemy of execution. So yeah,
I like that one. Oh
yeah, yep. It's so true. Don't overcomplicate it.
Yep. Now, what about a deal? Now, you did a first deal. Do you want to just explain a little bit about what you did with that first deal? And now, is that the one that you also found with that intention?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And I got very focused. Everybody knows about my first deal, but yes. So that was the first deal. Nobody wanted it. It was a lot of work. We paid $500 for it in a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful suburb where I like to holiday. And we did, so it is multiple income stream because they had a granny flat with it as well. The rest of the house actually wasn't habitable. We put 100 into it, but if it wasn't for Mark, like it was 100 for us to do it. But if it was someone else, it would have been a $200,000 build, easy. Because the rest of the house, we honestly paid $500,000 for a granny flat because the rest of the house was not habitable. It didn't even have a habitable kitchen. It was pretty dodgy. So we made that habitable space. So it's obviously got the two income streams, and one's short term and one is full time. So that's a nice little, so look, at worst case scenario being your first deal, as Dymphna says, even if you come out with a learning, you've done well. We came out a lot more than even and a lot more and positive income as well. So it's a nice positive deal at about, I don't know, 50. More now because prices have gone up, obviously. But yeah, and look, at the end of that one, obviously before the market went cray now, but at the end of that one, we had 600 into it. It valued at 870, something like that, had around $50,000 positive. We still hold it. And with the market in this particular area at the moment, it's, look, I wouldn't even sell it for 1.5. It'd get closer to, and it's not going to be sold. It's not in our radar to sell because it's holding so positive and its equity just keeps going cray. So that's what you can do if you set your intention to get a bit cranky.
Wow, what a fantastic result from you getting angry.
That was the first deal. That was a little bit more than my 10 times my investment. A
little bit more. I think the
Dymphna can keep her money I paid for the course. It's okay. She doesn't need to see my diary.
So at the time when you did it, there was about sounds like about 270, 250, 270k uplift with a 50k positive income. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
awesome. What happened then? What did you do then after you get that?
Well, we sort of realised that we'd made a bit of a poo-bah, actually. That was an awesome deal and we did everything we thought we were told to do. But unfortunately, Mark sort of didn't work for himself at that time. He was working for us, so his income dropped. So serviceability dropped for us, which put us in a little bit of a quandary. And then also that's when lending really got tightened and APRA came in and ruined everybody's party. So we found our place with a lot of equity, but no serviceability. Even though the property was producing income as well, that property needed, because a lot of its STR needed to be serviced for 2 years for an income for that property. So that's where, like Dymphna always says, have your consultancy trust. So I've got my consultancy trust and everything now and all that, but that had to be running for 2 years to show that property is serviceability. And we also had to build Mark serviceability back up. Yeah, ISTR, short-term rental, yeah. So that left us with having to do some JVs with some friends. We did some very, it's not even, to us, not even a cosmetic, it's really paint and stage. So we did a few things like that with people that we knew and people that trusted us and stuff like that to then build serviceability back.
Fantastic.
So we had to, yeah. That's one thing we're not doing again. It's difficult because Mark is capable of doing so many of the jobs himself so much cheaper than employing a trade. So you've really got to look back now at jobs that we're doing or deals that we're doing, who we employ or what deals we employ people to go and do for us and which ones Mark does. But luckily we can both work remotely. So we're both working our general JOBs, which are our business, while we're traveling and doing this one anyway. This one wasn't worth getting trades in because it's going to be knocked down. It's a D9 job in a couple of years.
A D9?
Big excavator that bulldozes it.
Of course, very good. Do you want to just talk a little bit about, obviously, because you've got Mark there who does a lot of work, but you also kind of create an A-team. Do you want to elaborate how you go about that? Because it is a question that also often comes up. It's like, how do I create my A-team and so forth? Do you want to explain how you did and how you perceive it?
Google. No. But okay, Mark's A-team is completely different to my A-team. He will use contacts. He's an assessor and trainer in the building industry, and there's not too many people that he doesn't know someone who knows someone who knows someone. So that's how Mark will build his A-team. When it comes to the STRs, for me, I build my A-team predominantly through community Facebook pages. Everywhere we have a property, I'm a member of the community. Even before I buy in an area as well, I think being a part of a community Facebook page gives you a really good insight to the vibe of the area. And I'm very much about the vibe. I'm not a numbers person at all. My fallback is gut. That's just my gut. It's the vibe. It's because. That's why. And that's always served me well. We haven't done a bad deal yet. So I don't overanalyze at all. I do not like numbers. I have a guy in the UK that can do numbers for me. If we've got to put a JV together, he was actually a student of mine, and he's really good with that. So I trade things. I trade knowledge for him, knowledge and skill set. So I now train him, and he does my business proposals for me. So, but yeah. I go on, where was I? Sorry, what was the question? I go on the vibe of buying my properties.
A-team. It was like how you work out.
I get the vibe of an area by joining a community, and we've just recently moving our PPR as well. Now, I was a member of that community page probably 6 months before we bought there. You just get to know an area and a feel and a vibe and a sense of community, because we're taking my mum there with us as well, obviously, because she lives in a granny flat where we are, bought with a granny flat for her as well. So you can, we need a tree lopper here. I go into the local community page here and type in tree lopper. Someone would have asked for one before. And if there isn't, we're also looking for a new painter in another area, painter. You get recommendations from community pages. So if you need a cleaner, a gardener, a handyman, a painter, and anything, I like Facebook community pages. Mm-hmm. Then phone calls, then meet them, go out for a coffee, ask lots of questions, and ask lots of questions, and ask to see their work, and ask for recommendations. But recommendations from Facebook community pages, I swear by them. I send overseas students to them as well.
Wow.
That's where I found most of my teams.
Fantastic. Great advice there. Great advice. All right, cool. So now then what happened after that? I mean, actually, there's one thing I wanted to just highlight, and that was that you got yourself into a bit of a kind of a difficult scenario, but then you had to get out of it. And it all was around financing, as like you mentioned. Did you want to explain a little bit about how that rolled?
So basically it was just earning more money. We just had to earn more money on paper. So really good accountant, really good broker. We did move away from the strategist we originally had. I think that particular strategist at the time went on to do different things anyway. Finding a strategist that suited us. It's like you see people and they ask advice, like, how do you do this or how do you do that? Like, I work with my accountant for my situation. I work with my strategist for our situation, sort of thing. And he's a guy that understands where our income comes from, both being self-employed, both being an STR. Having that consultancy trust has made a huge difference as well, because that's been going now for 2 years. So now my income is is mine as a consultant and a management company as well, sort of thing. So that's helped as well. We pay more for our money. Yes, I don't want to go too much because I did try to do it on a Facebook answer, but what I do may not work for someone else. Their accountant might go, that's not going to work for you, because everyone's individual situation is different. So we found working with a strategist and an accountant now that knows us very well, knows where our properties are, knows what their income's in, knows what equity's left in them, knows our whole, and he also, when you work with your strategist, it's not this deal, it's moving forward. Like before we bought here and before we went unconditional on this particular property, we knew we were going to be selling and purchasing a new PPR as well. So we had to make sure that that was going to work, and we knew the price points of those. So our strategist knew, and we're working with a bank that will work with our situation and our STR. That I said, we, it's always me. Mark, it's just all me. I don't know who this Mark guy is. He makes an appearance every so often, don't you, babe? No, he's busy painting. So he, as I say, so he works with us with what we need. Yep. And we were able to overcome our little faux pas of serviceability. And we do pay more for our money. Can you hang on one sec, Mark? Babe, Mark. Are you going to do those little doors, the trim with those little brushes around the door handles? No?
Wrong paint.
Oh, wrong paint. Sorry, we missed a bit. And when he gets the right paint out, I need him to do it when he hasn't got the right paint out. Sorry, everybody, we're renovating. This is what happens in real life. It's a real life call. Yeah, so I pay we pay a little bit more for our money because of our circumstance, but I don't really care.
Yep.
Because it's not, I don't sit here and quibble over 0.5%. I don't personally, or a whole percent really, because the best loan for me is the one that I get. And the properties are making that much money, then in 5 years' time, 50,000, like it's probably cost us an extra 50 grand here. I don't care. Because 50,000 into $1 million is nothing. So, and even $50,000 overspread over 5 years when it's going to make about $80,000 positive is no big deal.
Yep. Yep.
So, does that answer that question for you, Michael? Happy?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah. You've really highlighted the kind of the business approach of it rather than the emotional approach to it. So yeah. Awesome.
I get very unemotional when it comes to bank. Just give me the money. Whoever wants to give me the money, I'll take it. How much percent? Like we've got loans in the 5s, Michael. That would horrify people. In the 5s. I don't care. Because on my side, it's a 5 and a lot of zeros afterwards. So I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still making a higher percent. I'm still making more per year than 5%.
Yep.
And if you've got a yield of 15%, do you really care? I don't care about having a 5% interest rate. And then I got really happy this week. We got a loan in the 3s.
Awesome.
I live for the day that one of the big 4 actually considers us.
Yep.
Not going to happen. Anyway, I'll put up a Facebook post when we get a big 4 that looks at us.
Okay, we'll be looking out for it. We'll be looking out for it. I'll
consider myself, I've made it once I get a big 4 bank that looks at me. At the moment, they just laugh and go, no.
Good. Now, so I really want to kind of get into, you started to get into the STRs quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something that I remember you telling me when you sat down and you went out to dinner one time and somebody sat next to you and went, oh, you're, you know, and they were a little bit surprised. And I'm wondering, can you just tell that story?
Your namesake, but not you.
Yep. So
still a beautiful friend. I don't think he's on. He's probably busy doing amazing charity work because he's that kind of person. He's the most beautiful human being ever. Or he's out busy doing his property stuff. Yes. Do
you want to share that story? Because I mean, like for those of you who don't know, obviously Sue is well known in this area, certainly in the STR area, and with Airbnb and so forth. And anyway, I think you should tell a story because it was just really
funny. It was at a Gold Coast event, as you do, and back in the, you know, when you all went to live events and we all decided to go out to dinner, and we went out to dinner and everyone just followed suit. Like, where are you going? Oh, we're going down the surf club. So yeah, a big pile of us came down and we started chatting, and I don't think she's on, but the beautiful, you know, we all know Karina. I won't say last one, the beautiful Karina and a few were all there, all the old school guys from back in the day. She's all off doing whatever she's doing and stuff. And this guy just tweaked and goes, "Oh, you're Airbnb Sue." And I'm like, what? And yeah, so he was very excited, made Mark move over. "I want your autograph." It was hilariously funny. Still a good friend. We made a pact that day that we'll do an Airbnb together one day, and we will. We've looked at one together. That one didn't come off, but yeah, we'll do an Airbnb together one day.
And now, for those of you who don't know, obviously at that time you were posting a lot as well within the community about Airbnb. And so this particular student had no idea he was sitting next to Airbnb. That was it. Yeah.
Apparently that was my nickname in Sydney with that particular group of people.
Indeed. Yep. Now, Airbnb, I'd like to get into what happened. And I think Dymphna kind of gave you a challenge of a book. Was that? How did that come about?
Very, very mean lady sometimes. No, I'd sit at boot camps and whatever events and all that. Actually, I've got it out. There's my book. I actually wrote a book. It's got my name on it. Look at that. Check that out. Author, dyslexic, failed English, wrote a book. You can do anything. Yeah, so Dymphna would always say, everybody's got a book in them. And I'd sit there, "Oh, no, I don't think so." No. There's never ever a book coming out. No. And so when I do ever see Dymphna around, we laugh about that. So yeah, I wrote a book. Everyone has a book in them. No, there's not going to be a sequel.
Okay. It is actually available. Well, I mean, you've got it available, but it's also on the members' website too.
Oh, is it?
Under recommended reading. Yeah, there's a link there.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Now, there's something that you mentioned about not stopping at the first no.
Oh, yeah.
Can you? Yeah, I want you to talk about this. Why would you not stop at the first no? And give us a bit of a viewpoint on that.
Oh God, so many reasons. Depends on what sort of deal you're doing too. We've learned to become very outcome focused rather than problem solvers, because if you just focus on problem solving, you're just going to find more problems because you're using that word too. So we become outcome focused. So what is the outcome? To purchase this property, what is the outcome? To get, you know, a cleaner or whatever in this remote, rural, middle of nowhereville where I am at the moment. So if we'd stopped at the first no, which was a different strategist, we would have never been able to move forward. And I know that just from friends, from town planners to anything, to with anything. Like stopping at the first no, even finding a good start at the head of my A team will always be a cleaner. I like to call them caretakers rather than cleaners. I pay them very, very, very well to do what they have to do for me because I need them. Even making phone calls and research and trying to find someone to start the team here because it's 3.5 hours away from my closest STR. I got so many people just not wanting the work, not wanting the job, and no, we only do NDIS work, and we don't like. It was just, I don't know how many people turned away very good money, but I just had to keep plugging away because I knew what my outcome was. I had to find a cleaner. So, and also maybe you might find someone that works a little bit more outside your square. Like we're very much outside the box income earners here. So we needed someone that was going to, even when we're looking at deals at the moment, our strategist and broker will come up with, yes, I can get you that money. And we've got A, B, and C options. C obviously being worst case scenario and most expensive. But if A doesn't come off, then we'll go to B and then we'll go to C. So we do that regardless anyway, even with exit strategies. Like when we go into a deal, we'll always have an extra exit strategy if the main plan doesn't come off. And STR was never a strategy, never a strategy. It came because I was peeved off. I wasn't getting my $1,000 a month back then from a little granny flat. Can you imagine $1,000 a month rent? And I was upset.
I'm seeing this theme here, Sue, that whenever you get upset or angry, you seem to turn things around in your favour.
I know. I think it's the intention setting, and it wasn't until very recently that I realised that when I'm like that, that's when my focus does become so clear, and the intention is there. This is what I need, and I'm going to find it. So whether that is just laser focus intention setting, I don't know. Probably it has to be. It's the only way I find things. So yeah, we had the little granny flat, and my dream, as you know, back from when Kevin gets on stage and talks about it all the time, was to have a beach house. I've always wanted a beach house. My whole life I wanted a beach house. And it was and it's funny, when Dymphna talks at camp, I won't give away her story, about a particular name and situation that she wrote down all those years ago. I was the same. When I was a child, and it's not until she told that story that I remembered it, I used to pretend to holiday where my first deal and my first beach house is. I used to pretend to go there because my neighbours went there. Now, I came from a very, very poor family. We had no money. Like, there was zero money in our family. Never going on holiday was never dreamt of. But I went to a very exclusive private school because my great aunt paid for my education, because she believed in education so much, which is why I'm grateful for the I Love Real Estate education. Education really can be the key for so many things. And so I hung around with very, very wealthy children that all had beach houses, and I was going to the beach house and going to the unit, and I used to go, why are you upset about this? My dream is to have a beach house. So another intention when we bought that first beach house, the granny flat was going to be ours. My dream was to one day not have that on full-time rental. We had to have it on full-time rental to keep the place positive. So we had to have the main house rented and the granny flat rented. And that was how we were going to keep the property. And when we were gutting the upstairs, our tenants had left, and we had to, it was only $250 a week back then, and God, we get $360 these days for it if we had it on long term. So I sort of went, you know what, I'm going to give this Airbnb thing a go, because I'm in sales, I can sell stuff. What's the difference between having a guest and having a customer? I'd done 30 years of sales, so it was sitting there empty during the week because we only used it for the weekend because we gutted the rest of the house and there was no bathroom. So I just started getting bookings, and I'm like, well, this is pretty cool. So I was making more weekdays than I would even having it on full-time rental, and therefore I was able to then block days and use it. So I automatically had my first beach house that I could use whenever I wanted to holiday. And the rest is history. It just went, I'm like, well, that's a strategy I'm going to hang on to. So now I buy holiday homes. I've got 5 now, holiday homes that I rent on short-term rental. And when I want to go there, I just block it out and go there. So buy where you want to holiday, people. I want to have well, if it wasn't for COVID, I'd have one in the snowfields of New Zealand by now, but goals. I'll get cranky enough to buy one day, Michael.
It seems to be the way things happen with you, Sue. So can you give us a bit of an insight into how things progress for you with Airbnb? Because you started off obviously like this, and then you've gone on to become obviously an Airbnb host, and then a super host, and then I don't know where you're at the moment, but you've traveled a long way along this STO path.
Planting a lot of seeds, nurturing a lot of relationships, all about relationship building. And that's with anything. And Dymphna will talk about that, relationships with your town planners. Oh my God, relationships with real estate agents at the moment. Don't get me started on how important that is. That is relationships with my cleaners, relationships with your A-teams. It's all relationship building. So over the years, I'd nurtured relationships with particular connections within education and things through my book to overseas. So I do work overseas most days when I choose to open my calendar to work overseas. So I do work overseas training and mentoring. That led to other opportunities, and I literally put a lot of freebie work in. I gave a lot of work into a community, an Airbnb community within Australia, that they then asked if they noticed me and monitored me and asked me to become a moderator on there. From there, I became a community leader. And from there, I now have sort of weekly meetings direct with them on. They're a great company. A lot of people don't understand Airbnb, and they don't understand how big a machine it is. It is a huge, huge, huge machine. And they do take a lot of what hosts say on board. So I do have a meeting. Well, I have meetings weekly with them to report on certain things, but then I'm also asked. Now, I often have not only my 2 cents worth, Michael, I have 5. So they'll take my 5 cents worth of my opinion on certain things if they're looking for. A lot of people might think that Airbnb changed their policies willy-nilly. They don't. There's a lot of consideration taken in on it. So I sit in on there and give my very valued opinion on things, and a couple of pilot ideas and programs, which I can't go into, but yeah, I do lots of things.
So you've really moved up in the whole Airbnb side to a very high level. Could you classify that? No. Okay. All right.
I really can't say too much about what I do there, because a lot of it, yeah, and I love it, and I don't want to jeopardize anything that I do with them, but they are an amazing company. They are very, very focused on their hosts and as well as their guests. And it's a really interesting and really, really fun time that I absolutely loving. That's why I don't want to do anything to jeopardize anything with that. But it's great.
Okay. But you've gone up the host, super host kind of levels.
Oh yeah. Super host I got ages ago. Yeah.
Okay. And of course now the book that you've written as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Could you tell us about some of the other things now? What are you doing now? Like at the moment, there's a lot of kind of
in my kitchen.
So much frustration, and even just on a whole lot of things, especially with lockdowns and so forth. So can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the deals you're doing? Obviously, don't mention the areas and so forth, but what you're doing at the moment?
Yes, many things. The sold one, that was one I was telling you about before. Okay, putting my big girl undies on, had to do an opportunity cost analysis on a house that I love. The equity draws from that property through the education now has $4 million worth of property attached to it. It has now been sold. Which was technically its last equity draw. Look, I bought it many years ago, like back before in the last big boom. So $100,000 came out of that, and that bought the first one. Then over the years, using the education as it just naturally grew and growth, and no manufactured growth there at all, none. Just bought very, very well pre-education. I'm not saying get lucky, because it didn't get lucky. I'd always had that intention, but that has then been drawn down to the fact that it got down to its 80%. Like, there was no more money to be drawn on it. And because so much money had been drawn on it, and it was just in a normal suburban area, you couldn't make it positive. It sat neutral at best. And neutral isn't good enough. Not worth doing a reno, did all through that, spoke to agents, researched the area, not worth doing a reno. There was nothing that could be done to this property for it to gain any more, either income or value to us. Anything we put into it, we'd get back, but that would waste time and obviously full-time rent. So it did get sold. And the last draw of that just bought our PPR, our new PPR. So we're doing that. Now, everywhere is competitive, so I don't even need to say where this is, but an incredibly competitive market we've just bought into. It's just crazy, hot, as it is everywhere. Building relationships with agents and trying to find someone that's living and working with integrity that we live and work with was very difficult. But again, that got to hitting the ground, going to open houses, meeting agents, meeting them in person. We met this particular agent at a property in an area that we liked. We would never have bought that house in a million years. It was 1.5 over our budget, more than 1.5 over our budget, but it had everything we wanted. So we ended up meeting this agent and we said, he goes, do you like it? And I said, yeah, I do. I said, but I want this, but shitty. I want a shitty one of these. You know, it's got the shed and it's got the granny flat and it's got everything we want and it's all pool, it's all done. I said, but I want it shittier because I don't want to spend this much money and we can make it pretty. So from that initial meeting with him and watching some of the integrity of other agents in the area, we started to build a relationship with him. He knew what we wanted. We went to other open houses. We kept connected with him. We would talk to him. And we got to the stage where we would actually employ him. And I actually gave this as a suggestion to someone on Facebook. If you can find a really good agent that's living with integrity and doing the right thing, we were prepared to pay this guy to be a buyer's agent for us. Because if he's already out and about looking at properties and assessing properties and all that, he could get a deal over the line for himself by saying, hey, I know someone that this is perfect for, they'll pay my commission. That could get someone over the line to sell a property. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where we're at. We didn't have to go that far because I sent him a text from a country pub actually and said, Boyle Road, no good, no range, because I'd seen so many properties without mobile range. Can you believe it? I can't even deal with these properties that don't have mobile range. Drowning my sorrows at the pub. And 2 minutes later, he rang me. He'd assessed a property that morning at 11 o'clock. We were into that property at 4:30 that afternoon and purchased it. A lot of negotiating and a lot of toing and froing with the seller's needs. They had special needs for a sick grandchild and certain things. So again, using the education, finding out what their wants and needs are and trying to negotiate the contract to that. We've bought it well under market value. We're very, very happy. But that was all about building relationships and being outcome focused. So I didn't care that it was going to cost me commission to have him as a buyer's agent, which it didn't end up going that way. But to me, in a market that's this ridiculous, I did not want to get into multiple offer situations because multiple offer situations in this particular area is $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. And going in on this deal, even paying him 2%, 20 grand, whew, I'll give you 20 grand any day over 200. That's a deal. So that's where we're at with that. And then we're just finishing this duplex and working with an agent to find another one. Because I can't sit around and play ladies all day. That gets boring.
Yep. So can you give us a bit of an idea of how they stack up?
Oh, which ones?
The last two that you were mentioning.
Last two.
Yeah.
Okay. The last two. So that would be the PPR in here. Mm-hmm. Okay. The PPR is a little bit of a cracker because we've bought in an area that we really love and we've got an amazing tribe there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful friends in that area, which we all found through I Love Real Estate. So that one's a burster because we've bought it technically off market, so it didn't go to multiple offers. We believe we've probably purchased that 80 to 100 under what it, look, I don't even want to know what it might have gone to if it had gone to multiple offers and it reached the market. So buying that off market is an absolute score. Very, very, very small renovation for us. Very lick of paint really for us, new carpet and marks. Like this is nothing for Mark, building a deck and sticking in a plunge pool. Like to a lot of people that might be a lot, but that's just to us, it's like, it's a weekend project. So extending a deck and putting in a pool, that will be well and truly 200,000 on that once we've completed that. Particularly with the way the market's moving at the moment, it could even be more. I don't know. It's a PPR. We're holding it anyway. This one here is, so then we're going to, and what the beauty is, we're selling our current PPR for 300 more than we purchased our PPR. That's change. Ching, ching, ching. I love a deal where there's change, especially a PPR deal where there's no capital gains tax involved. So I love that because it is a little bit of, it's a downsize in house, but it's not a downsize in lifestyle for us. So we're stoked. So this one here, we bought very well again. I was very angry. I was laser focused. I'm going to put my big girl undies on again. Didn't want to do it. Didn't want to go to open houses. I was in a bad mood, but I had to. I said, no, I'm going up because it's in a regional area. We were going there for the weekend. So I had to do what I had to do. By the time we signed the contract to settlement, its natural growth alone had gone up 50,000. Knowing where infrastructure and different things are going through here, it's going to be a very, very nice deal. And why buy one house when you can get two for the same price? Just saying. So it's a duplex.
Yep.
The original strategy was to buy a duplex in strata and sell one off. So sell one, keep one. Until we looked into really what was going on in the area and looked more into it, again, using the education and stacking strategies and stuff like that. We're not going to worry about the strata because we'll just bulldoze it in, say, 5. So it'll hold positive for 3 to 5 years and then it'll be bulldozed. And we know pebble in the pond, we know where the pebble is, and it's not going to be a ripple, it's going to be a tidal wave by the time it hits here. So a little bit excited. A little bit excited about that. Yeah, it's just throw a boulder in the pond, really. Just saying.
Very cool, very cool. You've got a very strategic approach from what I can see as well. You know exactly what's, you know, you're intending that. You've got a very clear intention about what you want, and you move ahead from a very much a business approach and utilize the training. So awesome.
So my gut makes the final decision, Michael.
Yes, yes. Indeed, indeed.
And that again just comes down then to cookie cutter. We really do cookie cutter. Maybe after we do the knockdown here, or, you know, we are now moving into more land banking of properties as well than we had done. So that once we've sort of done this, or we get a little bit more, we will probably be doing our cookie cutter strategy, but throwing in, having it as a land bank sort of situation.
Yeah.
Well,
fantastic, fantastic. Yeah. Awesome. Now, there was one other thing I wanted to mention. How does, can you do a bit of a wrap up from when you started? Because when you originally joined, it was back in, you know, back in 2014 to now, how have things kind of turned around for you? Like, obviously you've done quite a number of deals. You've a huge amount of equity uplift. Can you give us a bit of an overall idea of how you're situated now in comparison to when you first joined?
Mark's still married to me, so that's a surprise, you know, because there's days I must be very trying, hey, babe? Yeah, he's looking at something on his computer. I think, yeah, our group, our close friend group has definitely changed. And that's not, and I know Dymphna says that when it comes to stage, and she'll talk about that a lot with Millionaire Within. It's not good nor bad, it just is. You just do change your vibration, and therefore you're changing your tribe. And nothing against, some of these people are still friends, that's not a problem. Some people have chosen to come on the journey with us, which is great. And there are people I was telling you about before we went live, like they've just done a great subdivision deal. Like they were kind of paying more attention to what we were sort of doing and things like that. And then they came to us with this deal and we went, it wasn't even the back of an envelope deal. They absolutely scored on this property that then they were subdividing. They've sold the subdivision off and then they're building to build a PPR. They'll live there for a year and they'll sell. And it's a cracker. Didn't even have to do that. That was just huge. I could do that in my brain. So they've come along on the journey. and then others haven't. And I think we've just got a lot more people in our lives now that just vibrate on our level, and just, you know, just being able to talk the same language to people and have that same energy. And I guess we hang with people now that contribute to our lives as much as we believe we contribute to their lives, rather than having a group of friends that just seem to, for want of way better words, sort of like take the energy, you know. And when you left that room or left that conversation, you felt drained. Whereas we can hang with our tribe now, and when you leave that group, you're enlightened. You feel lighter, you feel better, you feel fulfilled, you know, rather than leaving a conversation. Or like, I might sit with some old friends these days and just go, oh, I just feel heavy and drained, and because they're taking energy rather than contributing energy. So that's one of the biggest things, because we were self-employed before, but now we're self-employed with bigger numbers in the bank account, really. and I'd love to say, and we're traveling everywhere and just living life as we want to, which we were doing that a lot pre-COVID, and that will come back. You know, being able to be in Bali and work, or being wherever we choose to be and still work, or still have income coming in because we've got teams on the ground doing what we need to do. Or being like Dymphna, off on her boat, doing whatever, having the team on the ground doing it all. It's great.
So you've got to that position now where you can do that.
Oh yeah, I can do anywhere. Well, with the exception of COVID restrictions, yeah, I can run my business anywhere I want.
What's it like, the space you're in now compared to when you first started?
Well, this is a really small space. It's only a little duplex. Well, that's a tricky one. I guess, more confidence, way more confidence, and I went to that first event. I knew we had skills for real estate, but then I guess to me, real estate was just buying a house, selling a house, renovating a house. That was kind of like it. I think the education has given us more confidence to look at other sort of work, other things. And like I said, stack strategies. And we do that with more confidence, I guess. And we have more confidence to know that we will find an outcome. We have the ability to figure things out, and we will do that with our professionals and our skill set and our friends, sort of thing, I guess, is what's really changed.
Awesome. And just I think there was a question there on Facebook as well. So you enrolled into Ultimate and then you upgraded to Quantum, yeah, but you haven't done Platinum.
No.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. That was just a question that came up on Facebook. So what do you tell others about the I Love Real Estate community now? If someone was kind of you run into someone that you haven't met or haven't spoken to for a while, what do you tell them?
Tell them to avoid Michael Dempsey at all costs. The man with the camera, don't go near him.
I've changed my camera to a Zoom call now, Sue.
That microphone used to stick in my face. Oh, gee, I don't know. Well, I said to you off air before, I'm doing this because I love the community. You know, Mark's put Tool down because we love the community. And, you know, I think it's nice to be able to give back, to give, because I'm just an everyday normal person that just came into this with, you know, I didn't come into it with I came into it with some equity, not a great deal of income or anything, but we worked with what we had, and that's what the education gave us. And eternally grateful every day for Dymphna and I Love Real Estate and the education. You will find your tribe, don't force it. I think one of the big things, I remember at the very first boot camp, we still are in contact with a couple of people we met at our first boot camp, but it'll just come. Your tribe will come. You put out the right vibe, you will be attracted to those people and they will come to you, is what I would say. But that's why I'm here today, Michael.
Awesome.
And still in my kitchen.
And the one thing I don't think we mentioned as well, you gave yourself a gift at a certain point in time.
Oh yeah, I did.
And do you want to just maybe, I think we're right at the tail end, but did you want to end off with
my little Boxster.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that as Mark kind of cruises behind?
Yeah, I did. It's a really silly gift. It's pretty useless, but you can fit a lot of linen in it, and you can do top-up shops for Airbnbs in it. It's obviously not here. I'm driving a ute up here. Yeah, I bought myself a little Boxster, a little Porsche Boxster, because I'd always wanted a little convertible. I'd always wanted a convertible. So, and I did drive that year. I drove that car for, I'm not even a car person. We're not even car people. We've got an old Land Cruiser out there that would keep forever, and an old Hilux, workmate ute, which I drive most of the times to get the dogs in and stuff. But I did buy my little Boxster, and I drove that car for probably a good 2 years before we actually got it. I would actually sit there when or what was it? What's the word they used for that? When you trial it, sort of thing. Oh, anyway, but I would drive it every day.
Yep.
And I'd sit there and go, today's a Porsche day. It's going to be a roof down day today. Well, guess that'd be nice, So, yeah, I was actually seeing and feeling myself driving that for probably a good 2 years before I had it.
And then it came.
Yeah.
And then it arrived.
My beach house was really my most important thing. Data sampling. That's the one. Yes, I was visualizing, but yes, data sampling. I was data sampling more through visualization and all that, rather than actually going out and driving it. But yeah, we data sample a few things. But my main goal in my life was really to have that beach house, which I have now many of.
Fantastic. So look, we're on 1 o'clock.
Okay.
I don't know everyone here. If you want to let Sue know how has she been inspirational?
See it, you have it, Michael. That's what I'll finish off on.
Sorry, what was that?
See it, be it, and you'll have it.
Beautiful.
See yourself doing it. Be it. Be that person that you want to be. Your I ams. I am this. I am that, and you will have it. That's another thing that you get out from Millionaire Within.
Yep. Awesome. Sue, thank you so much. Great to catch up. Great to connect. Thank you so much for sharing, and also for being such a prominent and awesome member of the community, and sharing, being free and willing to share as well. And it's so nice to see you doing so well.
I have to go paint my kitchen now.
Well, look, we better not hold you up any longer. So, a lot of comments coming through, as you can see there as well. So, thank you.
Who's on there? Oh, there's lots of things. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed that, guys.
All right, awesome. Look, we'll end off there. It's right after lunchtime. Thank you so much for everyone for joining in. I think Joy is also on Facebook as well, sharing. So much appreciated. Sue, thank you so much. Awesome.
Bye to everyone out there that I know in person. Bye, Christine. And I know poor old Karen. I saw her there. She had to go. She lost range. She sent me a text. She's sad face. But anyway.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay, everyone.
I'll let you get back to painting, hey?
Chili gets excited when we get excited. She said goodbye. All right.
Yeah. And these will be available. So on Facebook, these are available on Facebook. So you can review them on Facebook. They'll also be edited and up onto the website as well.
All right.
All right.
Beautiful.
Thanks now. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.